They say marriage is like flying. Most of the time you're cruising at 30,000 feet, but when things go wrong, you hit the ground fast. My name is Aaron Miller, and I'm about to tell you how my wife Lily turned our Boeing 747 marriage into a kamikaze dive, and how I made sure she was the only one who crashed. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm 34, work as an aerospace mechanic at Patterson Industries, and I've got grease under my fingernails and sarcasm in my DNA. Lily's 31, works in marketing, and has the kind of blonde hair that costs more per month than my truck payment. We've been married 6 years, and for the last 2, I've been watching her drift away like a plane losing altitude. Aaron, did you remember to book the hotel in Maui? Lily asked, not looking up from her phone as she painted her nails red on our kitchen counter. Her sister's wedding was in 3 weeks, and Lily had been planning this Hawaii trip like it was a military operation. Already done. The Wiley Beach Resort, ocean view suite, just like you wanted. I cracked open a beer and watched her thumbs dance across her phone screen. Who you texting? Just Heather from work. She's so jealous about Hawaii. Lily's smile was the kind that didn't reach her eyes. She says Brian thinks Hawaii is overrated. Brian Foster, 35 years old, drives a cherry red Mustang and works in Lily's marketing department. He's got the kind of tan that comes from a salon and the kind of charm that comes from a handbook. Every time Lily mentioned his name, which was getting more frequent, my gut twisted like a wrench in the wrong direction. Since when do you care what Brian thinks about anything? I asked. Lily finally looked up, her green eyes flashing with irritation. He's my colleague, Aaron. We work together every day. Unlike some people, I try to maintain professional relationships. There it was, the dig about my blue-collar job. Lily's parents, the Evans family, had money that went back 3 generations. They tolerated me the way you tolerate a stain on expensive carpet, something that shouldn't be there but you're stuck with. My phone buzzed with a text from Dave, my work buddy. Drinks at Murphy's? Need to tell you something about your wife. I looked at Lily, still glued to her phone, and made a decision that would change everything. I'll be back later. Going to meet Dave. Whatever, she said without looking up. I'm having dinner with Heather anyway. Girl talk about the trip. Murphy's Tavern smelled like old beer and broken dreams. Dave was already 3 beers deep when I arrived, his weathered face serious in a way that made my stomach drop. Aaron, sit down. You're going to need a drink for this. I ordered a whiskey. What's going on? Dave pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was Lily and Brian at some upscale restaurant downtown, her hand on his arm, both of them laughing like they shared the world's best secret. My cousin works at Romano's. Saw them there last Tuesday. Said they looked real cozy. Dave's voice was gentle, like he was delivering news about a terminal diagnosis. There's more. He swiped to another photo. Lily and Brian walking out of the Marriott downtown, her hair messed up, his shirt wrinkled. I'm sorry, man, but you needed to know. I stared at the photos until they burned into my retinas. 6 years of marriage, and she was throwing it away for a guy who probably used more hair product than she did. How long? I asked. My cousin says at least 3 months, maybe longer. 3 months. Right around the time Lily started working late, taking weekend team-building events, and treating me like I was furniture. I finished my whiskey in one burning gulp. Thanks for telling me. What are you going to do? I looked at my reflection in the bar mirror. Tired eyes, grease-stained work shirt, wedding ring that suddenly felt like a shackle. I'm going to think about it. But I was already thinking, and what I was thinking would have scared me if I wasn't so damn angry. I drove home through empty streets, my mind racing faster than my truck's engine. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Lily's car wasn't there, probably still at her dinner with Heather. Inside, I sat at our kitchen table and stared at the Hawaii travel folder Lily had put together. Brochures for snorkeling, luau dinners, romantic sunset cruises. All the things we were supposed to do together while she was probably planning to do them with Brian. My laptop was still open from earlier, and I did something I'd never done before. I logged into Lily's email account. She'd given me the password years ago when she was in the hospital with appendicitis, and she'd never changed it. Why would she? She trusted me. The betrayal hit me like a hydraulic press. Dozens of emails between Lily and Brian, hotel confirmations, flight changes, and then I found the one that made me freeze. Brian. I told Aaron his ticket got messed up and there's no room at the resort. He bought it. Can't wait for our week in paradise. This will be like our real honeymoon. Love you. L. Brian's response, "Your husband's an idiot. Good thing you're finally upgrading. See you in first class, beautiful." I sat there for an hour, reading every email, every text message she'd forwarded, every detail of their affair. They'd been planning this Hawaii trip as their romantic getaway for months, with me footing the bill like some kind of sugar daddy. The front door opened at midnight. "Aaron, you still up?" Lily's voice was artificially cheerful, the way it got when she'd been drinking. "In here," I called out. She walked into the kitchen, her makeup perfect, her dress the one I'd bought her for our anniversary. "How was your night with Dave?" "Educational." I closed the laptop. "How was dinner with Heather?" "Great. We talked about Hawaii. She's so excited for me." Lily poured herself a glass of wine, her movements loose and happy. "Oh, I have some bad news about the trip. Here it comes." "What's wrong?" Lily's face arranged itself into fake sympathy. "The travel agent called. There was a problem with your ticket confirmation, and the hotel says they're overbooked. They can only accommodate one guest." She touched my arm with practiced concern. "I'm so sorry, honey. I know you were looking forward to it." I looked into her lying green eyes and smiled. "That's okay. These things happen." She blinked, clearly expecting an argument. "You're not upset?" "Why would I be upset? You'll have a great time." I stood up and kissed her forehead. "I'm tired. Going to bed?" As I walked upstairs, I heard her on the phone. "Heather?" He totally bought it. God, he's so pathetic. I lay in bed next to my cheating wife and planned my disappearance. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Lily left for the office with a spring in her step, probably excited to tell Brian how easily she'd manipulated me. I waited until her car disappeared around the corner, then I got to work. First, I went to the bank. All of our accounts were joint, which meant I could legally withdraw everything. $43,000, our entire savings, including the money set aside for a down payment on a new house. I transferred it to a new account at a different bank, one Lily didn't know about. Next, I called my boss, Jim Patterson. Jim was old school, built his aerospace company from nothing, and he'd always treated me fairly. "Jim, I need to take some extended time off. Family emergency." "How long we talking, Aaron?" "Maybe a year, maybe longer. I can't explain right now, but I'll make it worth your while when I get back." Jim was quiet for a moment. "You in some kind of trouble?" "The opposite. I'm getting out of trouble." "Your job will be here when you're ready. Take care of yourself." I spent the rest of the day erasing myself, canceled my phone service, closed my social media accounts, packed a single suitcase with clothes and important documents. By evening, I was a ghost. Lily came home at 7, chattering about her day. "Brian thinks we should try the helicopter tour in Maui. What do you think?" "Sounds amazing," I said, watching her face carefully. She didn't even flinch at the mention of Brian's opinion about their romantic getaway. That night, while Lily slept beside me, I wrote a single note and left it on the kitchen counter. "Enjoy paradise. I'm not coming back." At 4 a.m., I loaded my truck and drove away from 6 years of marriage. In the rearview mirror, our house looked like a crime scene waiting to be discovered. I drove for 3 days straight, stopping only for gas and coffee, until I reached Portland, Oregon. I rented a small apartment under a short-term lease and settled in to watch my old life explode from a distance. Dave called me on the 4th day. I'd bought a burner phone and given him the number before I left. "Jesus Christ, Aaron. Lily's losing her mind. She's calling everyone, filed a missing person report, even hired a private investigator." "What's she telling people?" "That you had some kind of breakdown. She's playing the worried wife perfectly. But here's the thing. She's still going to Hawaii with Brian. Flight leaves tomorrow." I smiled for the first time in days. "Of course she is." "There's more. People at her office are starting to talk. Heather's been running her mouth about Lily and Brian's work relationship. HR's asking questions." "Good. Let them ask." "Aaron, what are you planning?" "I'm planning to disappear for a while. Let Lily enjoy her paradise. When I come back, it's going to be a very different world." 1 year later, I walked into Patterson Industries wearing a $1,000 suit and a smile that could cut glass. I'd spent 12 months rebuilding myself from the ground up, and the results were impressive. "Aaron Miller, you son of a bitch!" Jim Patterson's voice boomed across the lobby. "Look at you." I'd stayed in touch with Jim throughout my exile, and 3 months ago, he'd made me an offer I couldn't refuse, partner in a new aerospace consulting firm. My technical knowledge, combined with his business connections, had already landed us 3 major contracts. "Good to be back, Jim." "How's the wife?" he asked, then caught my expression. "Ah, that's why you disappeared." "That's why I came back." Yeah, the new Aaron Miller was 30 pounds lighter, dressed better, and had a bank account that would make Lily's parents take notice. I'd also done my homework on exactly what had happened while I was gone. Lily's Hawaii trip with Brian had been a disaster. Photos of them together had somehow found their way onto social media, tagged by resort staff who thought they were a cute couple. Word got back to Lily's company, and HR launched an investigation into their relationship. Brian's wife found out, divorced him, and took their kids and half his assets. Lily had been demoted and transferred to a different department. Her reputation at work was shot, and most of her friends had distanced themselves from the scandal. She was still living in our old house, but barely making the mortgage payments on her reduced salary. "What's the plan?" Dave asked when I met him at Murphy's that evening. He'd kept me updated on all the local gossip during my absence. "Tomorrow, I'm going to remind everyone in this town exactly what Lily Miller did to her husband." "How?" I pulled out an invitation printed on expensive cardstock. "Patterson Industries is hosting a gala to celebrate our new partnerships. Guess whose marketing firm didn't get invited to bid on the contract?" Dave grinned. "This is going to be good." The gala was held at the Riverside Convention Center, with 300 of the city's business elite in attendance. I'd made sure that everyone who mattered would be there, including several people from Lily's company. I was standing near the bar, accepting congratulations on the new business, when I saw her. Lily looked older, thinner, with lines around her eyes that hadn't been there a year ago. She was wearing a dress I didn't recognize, probably bought on clearance, and her hair was shorter, less polished. She was with Heather, both of them clearly crashing the party. Our eyes met across the crowded room, and I watched the red liquid drain from her face. She approached slowly, like someone walking toward their own execution. "Aaron." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Lily, you look surprised to see me. Where have you been? I looked everywhere. I thought you were gone." I sipped my whiskey and smiled. I was. The old Aaron Miller gone the night he found out his wife was planning to take her lover to Hawaii on his dime. The new Aaron Miller is much more interesting. Heather tried to interrupt. "Aaron, you can't just disappear for a year and—" "Heather." I turned to face her with a smile that made her step backward. "Still helping married women cheat on their husbands? How's that working out for you?" You never what? Never knew that Lily was screwing Brian Foster? Never helped her plan their romantic getaway? Never laughed about how pathetic and clueless I was? I pulled out my phone and showed them a screenshot of one of Heather's social media posts from Hawaii. "Living vicariously through my girl Lily's romantic getaway. Some people know how to upgrade. Paradise living. Your best life." Heather's face went white. The internet is forever, Heather. Just like betrayal. Lily grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my suit jacket. "Aaron, please, can we talk privately?" "We are talking. Right here, right now, in front of all these nice people." I gestured to the crowd that was starting to notice our conversation. "Unless you have something to hide?" "You know I do." Her voice cracked. "Aaron, I made a mistake. I'm sorry." "A mistake?" I laughed, loud enough to draw more attention. "A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. A mistake is missing an exit on the highway. Planning a romantic vacation with your lover while lying to your husband isn't a mistake, Lily. It's a choice." Brian Foster appeared at Lily's side, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. He'd lost weight too, but not in a good way. His face was gaunt, his expensive clothes hanging loose on his frame. "Miller." He tried to sound confident, but his voice shook. "Foster, how's the divorce treating you? I heard your ex-wife got the house, the kids, and most of your assets. That must sting." Brian's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I pulled out my phone again and showed them a local news article. "Local marketing executive loses custody battle, ordered to pay substantial alimony." The internet really is amazing. You can find out anything about anyone. A small crowd had gathered around us, pretending to mingle while obviously listening to every word. "Aaron," Lily whispered desperately, "please stop. You're embarrassing me." "I'm embarrassing you?" I looked around at the faces watching us. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Lily Miller. Last year, she planned a romantic vacation to Hawaii with her coworker Brian Foster here. She told me my ticket had been canceled and there was no room at the resort. What she didn't tell me was that she was planning to spend our anniversary money on a week-long affair." The crowd was no longer pretending to ignore us. Phones came out, recording everything. "She's also the woman who filed a missing person report when I disappeared, playing the grieving wife while she was posting photos of her Hawaii honeymoon on social media. Isn't that right, Heather?" Heather looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "Aaron, stop," Lily begged, tears streaming down her face. "Please." "Stop what? Telling the truth? You had a whole year to think about what you did. A whole year to feel sorry. But you didn't feel sorry until I walked back into your life successful and wealthy." I finished my whiskey and set the glass on a nearby table. The difference between us, Lily, is that when I make a promise, I keep it. I promised to love and honor you, and I did, right up until the moment you betrayed me. But I also promised myself something the night I found out about your affair. What? She whispered. I promised myself that you would pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment of humiliation you put me through, and unlike you, I keep my promises. Security appeared at my elbow, not to escort me out, but to escort Lily and her companions away from the party. I'd made sure of that in advance. As they were led toward the exit, I called out, "Enjoy the rest of your evening, Lily, and tell Brian I said congratulations on the new apartment. I hear the neighborhood's really affordable." The crowd watched them leave, then turned back to me with a mixture of shock and admiration. Jim Patterson appeared beside me. "Jesus, Aaron, remind me never to get on your bad side." "This was just the opening act," I said. "The real show starts tomorrow." I woke up the next morning to 17 missed calls from Lily and 43 text messages begging me to meet with her. I deleted them all without reading past the first few words. Dave met me for breakfast at the diner downtown. "Holy shit, man. The whole town's talking about last night. Someone posted video of your speech on Facebook. It's got 3,000 views already." I pulled out my tablet and showed him the local news website. The headline read, "Business Gala Turns Personal. Local Entrepreneur Confronts Cheating Wife." "This is just the beginning," I told Dave. "I spent a year planning this, and last night was just letting everyone know I'm back. Now comes the real revenge." "What are you going to do?" I opened a folder on my tablet filled with legal documents, financial records, and surveillance photos. "I'm going to destroy them systematically, legally, and completely." First target, Brian's career. I discovered that Brian had been padding his expense reports for months, charging personal expenses to the company credit card. A few anonymous tips to his HR department, backed up with documentation I'd obtained through perfectly legal means, resulted in his termination within a week. Second target, Lily's social circle. Heather had been spreading gossip about other people's marriages and affairs for years. I'd compiled a comprehensive dossier of her indiscretions and shared it with the right people. Within days, she was persona non grata among their former friend group. Third target, their finances. During my year away, I'd learned that Brian owed money to several creditors. Using my new business connections, I quietly bought up his debts at a discount. I now legally owned his car loan, his credit card debt, and his apartment lease. Lily called me on a Tuesday afternoon, sobbing. "Aaron, please. Brian lost his job. Heather won't even talk to me. Everyone's treating me like I have the plague." "Consequences, Lily. They're a bitch, aren't they?" "What do you want from me? I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll quit my job. I don't want anything from you. That's the point. You're nothing to me now. But we're still married." "Not for long. Check your email." I hung up and waited. 5 minutes later, she called back, screaming, "Divorce papers? Aaron, you can't be serious." "I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Sign them, or I'll make your life even more unpleasant than it already is." "How can it get worse? You really want to find out?" She hung up on me. That was a mistake. 2 weeks later, I orchestrated the final act of my revenge. I'd arranged for Brian to meet me at a downtown coffee shop, ostensibly to discuss a job opportunity at Patterson Industries. He was desperate enough to believe it. I also sent Lily a message asking her to meet me at the same location to discuss our divorce terms. She was desperate enough to believe that too. They arrived within minutes of each other, and the look on their faces when they realized they'd been set up was worth the year of planning. "Sit down," I told them, "both of you." The coffee shop was busy, filled with the usual afternoon crowd of business people and college students. Perfect witnesses for what I was about to do. "Aaron, what is this?" Lily demanded. "This is your final performance review," I said, pulling out a tablet. "For the past year, you've both been living with the consequences of your choices. Brian, you lost your job, your wife, your kids, and your home. Lily, you lost your reputation, your friends, and your marriage. But you still don't understand why." "We know why," Brian said. "You're bitter and vindictive." I laughed. "I'm successful and happy. There's a difference." I turned the tablet around to show them a video I'd prepared. "This is a compilation of every lie you told, every betrayal you committed, and every person you hurt. I've sent copies to your former employers, your families, and anyone else who might be interested." The video began playing, showing screenshots of their emails, photos from Hawaii, and recorded phone conversations where they mocked me and planned their affair. "You recorded us?" Lily gasped. I documented everything, every text message, every email, every social media post, all legally obtained, all admissible in court, and all permanently archived. Brian started to stand up. You're insane. Sit down, Brian. We're not finished. My voice carried enough authority to make him comply. You see, the thing about betrayal is that it creates a debt. You both owe me for the pain, humiliation, and financial damage you caused, and today I'm collecting. I pulled out a stack of legal documents. Brian, remember those debts I bought? Your car loan, your credit cards, your apartment lease? They're all due immediately. You have 24 hours to pay in full or face repossession and eviction. His face went white. You can't do that. I can, and I am. It's all perfectly legal. I turned to Lily. And you, dear wife, are about to discover what happens when someone contests a divorce and demands a full financial audit. Every expense, every hidden account, every lie you've told will be examined under oath. Aaron, please, I'm not finished. I stood up, and my voice carried across the coffee shop. I want everyone here to understand something. These two people destroyed a 6-year marriage for a vacation in Hawaii. They lied, cheated, and stole from someone who loved them. They thought they were clever, thought they could manipulate and use people without consequences. The entire coffee shop was staring at us now. Phones were out, recording everything. But here's what they didn't understand. Actions have consequences, and some people don't forget, some people don't forgive, and some people have the patience and resources to make sure that justice is served. I gathered up my documents and prepared to leave. You both made your choices. Now you get to live with them forever. As I walked toward the door, Lily ran after me, grabbing my arm. Aaron, wait, I love you. I made a mistake, but I love you. I stopped and looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in over a year. She was broken, desperate, and completely defeated. A year ago, that might have mattered to me. Lily, I said quietly, you don't love me. You never did. You loved what I could provide for you, what I could do for you, how I made your life easier, but you never loved me. That's not true. If it wasn't true, you never would have betrayed me in the first place. I gently removed her hand from my arm. The woman I married gone the day she decided to take another man to Hawaii. You're just a stranger wearing her face. I walked out of the coffee shop and into the bright afternoon sun. Behind me, I could hear Lily crying and Brian arguing with someone on his phone, probably trying to figure out how to pay debts he couldn't afford. My phone buzzed with a text from Jim Patterson. Saw the video online. Impressive work? Dinner tonight to celebrate? I smiled and typed back, absolutely, I'm finally free. As I drove away, I thought about the year I'd spent planning this moment. Every detail, every move, every consequence had been carefully orchestrated. Lily and Brian had destroyed my old life, but in doing so, they'd given me the motivation to build something better. The old Aaron Miller had been naive, trusting, and easily manipulated. The new Aaron Miller was successful, wealthy, and untouchable. He was everything Lily had always wanted in a husband, but now she would never have him. Sometimes revenge isn't about getting even. Sometimes it's about becoming so much better than the people who wronged you that their betrayal becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. I drove home to my new life, leaving the wreckage of the old one behind me forever. In the rearview mirror, I could see Lily standing on the sidewalk, still crying, still broken, still paying the price for her choices. And for the first time in over a year, I was completely, genuinely happy.